So week 2 of the Ball with the Beast podcast, presented by Wyatt Insurance, and we bring in Paul Fortenberry and Brent Hubbs. Last week, guys, a lot of kind of games, a few really good ones though, right? And when you look around the league, kind of the same way this week. There's a few headlining matchups, headlined by Texas and Alabama, and maybe a Texas A&M, Miami. But then there's a lot of those games like Tennessee plays Austin Peay coming up on Saturday. We'll start with the Vols and then we'll get around the league. Paul, your overall thoughts on Tennessee's opening win of the season?
When you look at the box score, you think, well, they did what they should have done, right? They just absolutely destroyed Virginia. But then you go back and you watch the tape and the game, and you see that first half where they went downs, punt, punt, punt. And, my impression was two things. One, in a game that really matters, you got to give Jalen Wright the ball 20 plus times. I mean, he's a different level back, in my opinion, than the other two, than Sampson and Small. And he's so explosive. I thought they went away. I love that. Hubbard always does a great job of the, first down plays, pass versus run, second down play, pass versus run. I thought early they leaned a little too much on the pass, maybe to get some rhythm going with Joe. I get that. But, man, I think that was one of my first impressions is in a game that matters, I'm going to lean on Jalen Wright. And then the question is who is Joe Milton, right? We saw the first half. He missed a couple balls he should have got. Obviously, Ramel Keaton dropped the one that would have changed a lot in those drives. But then in the second half, it felt like he was in more rhythm. He started going. I loved that he was more willing, it seemed, to use his feet to get out of the pocket and go pick up a first down or go pick up 6-7 yards, which I think is so important in today's football. And then finally, the last point for me that I thought was a noticeable, I thought the defense looked so much faster than at any point last year. Whether that was maybe they were fresher because they were rotating more guys or some of the new transfers they had in. I thought, given it's Virginia, and I know that, but I thought they looked more comfortable in this defense, and I think that allowed them to play much faster than I saw last year.
Brent, when you look at the defense, and we had the news early on Thursday morning, Keenan Peay out for an extended period of time with a upper body injury. Just kind of take me through where they go from here. Arion Carter, Elijah Herring, Jeremiah Telander, Caleb Perry. Going to be some younger backers getting an opportunity.
Well, I think the first guy you look at is Elijah Herring has to grow up really fast and in a hurry. And look, I thought he played well in game one. He looked more comfortable, but he doesn't have the range. He doesn't have the experience sideline to sideline that a Keenan Peay has. And so he has got to get up to speed really quickly because he is much more of a traditional kind of in the box, see ball, hit ball kind of linebacker. And he's going to have to improve playing in space. But he's got a decent amount of experience. He's going to get to learn a lot in this game against Austin Peay. And then there'll be a lot of eyes on him, obviously, when they go to Florida to see what happens there. That's where it starts for me. And then we'll see how much Arion Carter grows. Listen, Brian Jean-Marie was going to rotate linebackers all season long and will rotate linebackers all season long. In this game, I am rotating those guys quick, fast, and in a hurry, right? Jeremiah Telander, Arion Carter, they're not getting 14 reps, 18 reps in this game. They're getting 45 reps in this game because they need as much work as they can get to try to build that depth. And I think that's the same for a lot of places, a lot of positions on this team, but certainly the linebacker position with the loss of Keenan Peay.
We'll talk more about the Tennessee game when we pick it, or when Paul picks it later in the show. Now let's get around the league. I think a sneaky good game, and if I'm Lane Kiffin and I'm going, why are we going to Tulane? Ole Miss at Tulane in New Orleans coming up on Saturday. Ole Miss just throttled their opponent last week, put up over 70 on the board. Gets a little tougher against a ranked Tulane team.
Yeah, I think that's just leftovers from last year. I mean, no Tajay Spears, who was a running back draft pick for the Titans for Tulane. Quinshon Judkins is still at Ole Miss. Jackson Dart looked good in the first game. I mean, I saw the line was 7.5. I give Ole Miss 10 points. I don't think that it's just – I get that, Tulane had a nice magical season with a great bowl win last year, but this is a different Tulane team. They still have the same quarterback, but their quarterback wasn't what made that offense go. Tajay Spears was on another level for that team. I was stunned, AP, when I saw the spread at only 7.5. So I think Ole Miss will put up, 40-plus points and win easy double digits. And Tulane may score 20 points, but that's just because Lane Kiffin doesn't like to play defense still, I don't think.
I kind of tend to agree with Paul. When I first saw this game, wow, this could be really a good game, really. And then again, I think you dive into Tulane a little bit, and I do think that the kind of the love affair for Tulane is the fact that it was last year, what they did at the end of last year, the preseason hype there. I watched Tulane play because they play every night of the week, AP. They play on Tuesday night. They play on Sunday night, Monday night. I mean, they kind of play whenever they can get an open field is kind of what it feels like when they put their schedule together. So you get to see them play a lot during the year. They were a fun team to watch a year ago. I mean, they really were. I just don't know that they've got that they are bringing enough back. They're a little bit, kind of reminds me a little bit of TCU, and I'm not taking anything away from what Deion Sanders did and what Colorado did, because that's a heck of a win that nobody saw coming, given the turnover they had there in their roster and everything. But I don't think TCU – I think TCU is still thought of by everybody because they were the TCU of last year. That's not last year's team. I mean, they lost so many weapons, so many things, coordinators, everything off that they're almost in a rebuild mode at TCU, coming off playing for the national title. I think Tulane's coming into a situation where they're getting a lot of love and they're getting a lot of carryover from a year ago. I'm not sure that it's justified with that ranking. I'll take Ole Miss, and I think they win pretty comfortably.
We're not picking the game yet.
I know, but I'm taking them right now. I'm telling you right now.
It's hard not to talk about a blowout like this.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. JJ, yeah. Okay. Talking to JJ McCleskey and Brent, they give you no chance. They said double-digit win for Ole Miss, JJ McCleskey.
We didn't pick the game, AP.
Yeah.
You just did. You just said. They said Paul said you had no chance. It's like 49-10, and Brent said
I said give him 20.
56-7.
I'm going to bring out the course pencil.
Brent said he'll have to see it to believe it, JJ. Okay. All right.
Can we just real quick? I saw on the board this weekend a lot of Deion Sanders hate out there. I don't get it, man. That's fun. It's fun. They coming. Hey,
Paul, the board likes you.
They coming.
You just damaged your brand.
I'm really worried about that.
This day in the conference, a game that was at Texas A&M a year ago is now at Miami. Texas A&M at Miami. Now, this is a game Texas A&M won last year after they lost to Appalachian State to begin the season. Can Miami, a team that looked better last week than some people thought going into the season, pull the upset against an A&M team that's riding high with the new look offense and the new look quarterback and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, this is the real test for the Bobby Petrino and the experiment they have going on down there, I guess you would say, of Jimbo kind of giving up the reins of the offense. Connor Wegman's a solid quarterback. He's still a young guy. He was a freshman last year, started the second half of the year. If I think there's a difference in this game, it's going to be A&M's talent on the defensive line. We all know, obviously, Walter Nolan, but they have a lot of other 5-star, 4-star guys up front, and that should be the difference. I still don't the best teams just have an identity. I don't know what that is yet for Miami. Last year under a new coach, we saw them kind of flounder. They had some impressive moments, but they had some less than impressive moments at time. And so I don't think we know who they are yet. They don't know who they are yet. So I like A&M, but I think it's not going to surprise me either way. Honestly, I think this is a toss-up because there are just so many unknowns. But the one thing that I'm a believer that in most cases in a game like this, talent is usually going to overcome, and A&M just has so much stinking talent. But it's not going to surprise me if Miami wins. I don't know what this one's one of those crystal ball seems very foggy for me kind of game.
Miami's got youth on the offensive line, which is a concern. I know it's talented youth, right? Francis Austin, we know all about Francis and where his talent is, but He's going to go against some dudes this week. The other thing too, with the whole Bobby Petrino, Jimbo Fisher experience, if Jimbo Fisher kind of stays out of the way, and that's a big if. The one thing Bobby Petrino does a good job of and has always done a good job of, and remember Jim Chaney's out there now as well, helping as an analyst there. He's always gotten the ball to his best playmakers. Like, he's not afraid to get the ball to whoever's best receiver is 10, 12, 14 times a game, right? When you go back to Louisville, you go back wherever Bobby Petrino's been, I mean, they'll run the same play over and over. Now, I think Jimbo Fisher has always tried to get too cute with that spiral bound notebook or whatever he's got on the sideline with all those plays on it that he looks like he drew up in the
the Cheesecake Factory menu, Hubbard. It's the Cheesecake.
Well, his is not even laminated. I mean, his looks like it's the doodle notebook from study hall in the 4th grade or whatever. I mean, it's just wadded up, crumbled up sheets of paper that he kind of slides around here and there. But I think that Jimbo Fisher has always tried to be the smartest guy in the room as a play caller, and sometimes he doesn't just make and take the easy things. I think if you listen to Bobby Petrino and even Jim Chaney, they will focus on just their playmakers and get, like, how many balls did the Stewart kid get last week, AP? I mean, they forced him the football, right? And that's something like a year ago, you didn't know what they were trying to do on offense, because it would be 5 wide, it'd be 2 tights, it'd be all this other stuff. Like you would look and go, hey, we didn't get to this yet. Like, if it works, just keep doing it. I think Bobby Petrino has long done that as a play caller and a coach.
So you're telling me that Jimbo Fisher stole Coach Red's playbook from the Water Boy, who he stole from the Fonz?
Yeah, that
sounds accurate.
Yeah.
Hey, would you ever have thought that we'd be talking about in the year 2023 Jim Chaney as an offensive assistant and your boy Darren Henshaw as a Big 12 offensive coordinator?
Did Darren Henshaw, did he ever – what prospect did he follow back up the road in Florida?
It was that running back. I was telling somebody that story a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't remember who it was. It was a running back that went to FSU. I couldn't remember who it was. Him and Chaney got in the car to follow him back up.
And the guy got on 10 and went –
He went to Tallahassee instead. Should have kept going north on 75. Oh, that's a good story. That's on that email list, guys. Credit cards, Social Security numbers.
The story would be a lot better if you could remember the guy's name, Paul.
I'll go back. Mario Pender. I think that's what it was.
There you go. Good pull. Good pull, Paul.
Mario Pender.
Well done.
Woody Quinn last week, Mario Pender this week.
Yeah, I need to get a bank of these things and be ready to release one. That's a great story.
I loved when we put it out last week, and like one of the first people to comment were like 5 minutes in, and it's exactly what I thought it would be. Whatever that means, good or bad.
I think hopefully that's a good thing.
So let's get to Texas and Alabama, the marquee matchup in the conference this week. A game that Texas should have won a year ago, but didn't. Can they go to Tuscaloosa and be one of those rare teams that wins in T-Town?
Man, this is a wild matchup to me. Quinn Ewers, he's supposed to be the truth this year, right? He's supposed to be the guy, but they lost. They have some good receivers, but you lose Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson out of the backfield last year that were really effective. And then Alabama with a new starting quarterback. This feels, and maybe I'm totally off on this, but just Alabama after the last 6-7 year run of all the talent, running back and receiver. This feels kind of not the desert, but you're wondering who's going to be the guy. Do they have someone like a Devontae Smith or a Jamison Williams or Mechie or, the running backs, Najee, who we can go on and on the list. And it doesn't feel like they have that right now. And maybe it'll emerge. But I think not having the marquee offensive players really hinders who Alabama is. They don't have that identity that I feel like they've had in the past. Yes, they still run the up-tempo offense, and it looks good. But I just think not having the studs, the absolute first-round, no-doubt draft picks, we don't see those on the team yet. I think that leaves a huge open window for Texas because I do think they have some talent on the offensive side of the ball to put up some points against Alabama. I go back and forth on this game. It took me a while to pick this one. If it was at Texas, I think I may have felt differently. But maybe being Alabama, I feel a little bit one way. I think it'll be I'm expecting a great game. I think it'll be close.
The question for me, Austin, is Texas ready? There's all this, Texas is back, Texas is coming, whatever the narrative is out there about Texas, right? Have they, quote, arrived at this point? Now, if Alabama doesn't have Bryce Young last year, this is a Texas win, and everybody's throwing up all kinds of red flags a year ago because, Texas, for all of what Texas did offensively, they missed a field goal, they missed some opportunities in the red zone. They absolutely wore Alabama out up front on defense. They wore Alabama's offensive front out last year, which is why Bryce Young ran for his life. He just ran, and made enough plays for Alabama to win the game. So my question this year is Texas ready? Are they ready for this moment with Steve Sarkisian? And I don't know the answer to that yet. I think that's my biggest question mark in trying to figure out this game is Texas really ready for the spotlight and really ready for the moment?
Yeah, I'm interested to kind of see how this game plays out because you're right. Paul brings up a lot of good points. There's a lot of talent on that Alabama team, but it's unproven talent. And at this point, they're kind of rolling with some of their upperclassmen. How do those guys perform? Maybe they're not as talented as some of those younger players. And, just how does this game play out? Does Texas get some momentum early? I think it's important when you're on the road to have some things go your way early on. I think it'll be important a week from now when Tennessee goes to Florida. I don't care what Florida is. They've not won down there in 20 years. You need some things to happen for you when you go on the road early that kind of just continues to instill confidence. And so I think for Texas, I think that first quarter is really important. And on the flip side, I think that it's equally as important for Alabama's quarterback. Jalen Milroe played great last week. Did something no Alabama quarterback's ever done. It was against MTSU. This is Texas. A lot more talent. How does he play? How does he throw when the windows are a little bit smaller against Texas? I think all that stuff is, stuff you have to watch for early on in this football game. And I'm not sure that Alabama's super dynamic at the tailback spot right now. I think there's some talent there that's going to be coming. But right now, I don't think that, you look at the first half last week and they were averaging 4 yards a carry for all that talk of murder ball and it's MTSU. They didn't exactly, have any real flesh wounds for MTSU last week.
Yeah. It's kind of right, Paul, where is, this is a bigger question about where is Alabama maybe than it is where is Texas. I think most people feel like Texas is on the up or they coming or rise or whatever phrase we're using these days, right, Paul?
Yeah.
Paul used the truth, and I'm not sure that's been in since 2012.
Hashtag truth. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Brent.
That's the question. But the bigger question is kind of where is Alabama? Because this does feel like a different Alabama team, but nobody's ready to write the obituary on Alabama at this point in time either, right? It's just that's what makes this a fascinating matchup, in my opinion.
Now, I think if you pull back a little bit, not just for this week, but looking at the season too. Who in the West? LSU didn't look great last week against Florida State, and so Alabama can lose this game and still be in the hunt. Because I'm with AP. I think they have the younger talent, but it's going to take some time to come on. I don't know that it'll be. We'll see if it shows up on Saturday. I think this is a total toss-up game. Can go either way. But I'm excited to see. I think it's been fun to have at least. Last week we had Florida State, LSU Sunday night, and then this week we have Alabama, Texas. 2 weeks in a row we've had good matchups because it feels, early in the season it feels like sometimes it's Tennessee and Virginia prime time.
Everybody giving out a big check is what the first couple of weeks of the season is putting out the big checks, and everybody's getting paid in their 2 scrimmage games to lead up to the deal. Last week, and I know we're getting ready to pick games, but you talk about, LSU. I mean, that second half meltdown was pretty epic in what they were doing. Florida looked, I don't want to say disorganized, but they had moments of disorganization on Saturday. I mean, they looked like they were in a spring scrimmage in terms of some of the organization. You kind of wondered, like, what's going on with some of that stuff there. So, and then South Carolina, North Carolina's defense surprised me a whole lot. Now, South Carolina did a lot of good things. They just didn't finish, some of those things, but they can't protect. And can Spencer Rattler hold up? Really interesting week one with a couple of those teams that you were thinking, okay, maybe this is deal, particularly LSU, and to kind of lay an egg like that is interesting. I think this is for the league. This Alabama-Texas game is an important game because if Texas were to win this game, what's the narrative on the league 2 weeks in, AP, right?
That's right. The Ball with the Beast podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Wyatt Insurance. Paul, tell everybody at home how Wyatt helps their customers.
Yeah, a really good story that we talk about a lot is one recently that is really a model for a lot of the stories and companies we help out. They had a lot of workplace injuries, so work comp claims. They had a lot of auto claims. They were in growth mode. They were growing really quickly, and they were trying to figure out, hey, how do we create a safer environment for our team? And so we were able to partner with them and put in some risk management practices. And then after a couple of years of doing those practices, we were able to take them to the insurance market and decrease their premium significantly. And so that's a great model for us to tell business owners of, hey, if you guys have a place where you think you're struggling or maybe not doing as well, or you're having some culture things, we can come in and partner with your organization and improve some of those things and help put in some best in class principles and some benchmarks that everyone's aligned with. And then down the road, we're able to decrease premiums because of all the work we've done on the front end. And so that's kind of our best stories that we had to tell on the business front, or companies that we partner with believe in being best in class, believe in improving their culture and want to change and improve. And then what we see on the back half is decreasing premiums, especially right now where like a lot of other things, insurance is only increasing the cost of it because of all the goods that are increasing. So that's kind of my favorite story, is how we help businesses like that. So if you need help like that, if you're a business owner, a CFO, or a manager, give me an email at paul@wyattinsurance.com or call us at 865-862-3997 and just ask for me, and you'll be connected with me. And we love helping out businesses, but we also do, like I mentioned last week, the employee benefits side and personal home, auto, your boat, your motorcycle, all that as well. So we're a full shop insurance service here for our customers, our partners.
And if you buy a policy with Paul, he will tell you some great Rob Lewis stories while he's filling out all your information.
That's right.
Got them all. Insurance.
You got them written down in a journal.
So you go back to week one. Let's take a look at the standings. And hey,
yeah, let's look at those, baby.
Paul with the Beast podcast for a reason. Paul, 14-0. Brent, you took South Carolina. I took LSU, and both SEC teams bit us.
Yeah, they did for sure. I did not anticipate South Carolina not being able to block anybody on the North Carolina front, but that certainly was the case. So North Carolina did their best to give that game away in the fourth quarter. Tried to give South Carolina every opportunity to get back in it, but South Carolina couldn't do it. So congratulations to Paul for jumping out of the gates quickly with an unbeaten, undefeated week. So we all got the email from Paul this week, and we got the random text with the emojis in it about how he dominated everybody in week one. So here's hoping we can return and kind of bounce back in week two, AP.
I feel very confident of my week two picks. Hey, one real quick note, Brent, to jump on what you said a few minutes ago. How average, or really below average, did Florida look? They no playmakers.
I mean, Paul, how many times has this movie been seen and been written?
No, don't do it, Hubbard. Don't do it.
How many times has this movie been about? First 2 weeks of Florida's not real good, and then all of a sudden they take on a different mantra. So we'll see what they look like this week. But yeah, the thing that they did was just, looked like a new defensive coordinator was there because they were slow on defense. Then you got the whole double number thing on the punt deal, which was a huge play in that game. that you got to. I mean, you got how many guys you got in
You gotta know
coaches
that.
search on the sidelines, right? I mean, you got one per player basically running around over there. It feels like somebody ought to know whether or not you got 2 threes on the field or not.
Or just how do you organize your depth chart where that would even happen? Like you know who everyone's backup is. So in your mind, you know that there's a scenario you have 2. I just don't get that. And like when you're looking at your first team and your second team, punt, return, pump, block, whatever. Oh, hey, we got 2 number 3s. We got to replace second number 3. You got to get somebody else in there. How do you not see that? How do you know there's a scenario? We've seen that enough happen. I don't get how you just when you're looking at it, you don't see it.
Well, and here's the thing that draws most of the story, but the one underwritten story about that game, AP, Florida couldn't run the football. They couldn't run the football at all.
They couldn't do anything.
But if you're Florida and you can't run the football with a drop back passer at quarterback, that's going to be a real challenge for you. So we'll see what kind of run game they find this week. All right, AP's ready to pick games. He's
I'm just
smiling over there because we're off on tangents, and AP's like, "What in the world? We're going? It's off the road."
I mean, I'm glad
we're making $7 million. All right, just call me Billy. Give me about 250, 300, and I'll make sure you don't have any same number problems. All right, man. I'll look it over for you.
All right, the picks are in. Megan's ready. Let's get to
the
picks this week. Let's go to the front page, and I mean, pretty static quo, right? I mean, like you look at some of the
we all went Bama.
Everybody went Bama. Everybody went A&M at Miami, and then everybody went Ole Miss over Tulane. So not real surprising. Let's talk about the.
Wait a minute. One quick thing on the Alabama Texas thing. Here's where I picked Alabama because it's at home.
Me too.
And I think it's a close game. If Texas wins, they're going to win big. I don't think Texas wins I don't think Texas wins a close game on the road with a last-second field goal. I think if Texas wins, they win comfortably in the fourth quarter. If they pull
you got 95. You got 95 Tennessee over Alabama, huh? 41-14.
I think that if they win, that's the way they're going to win. I don't think they win we're going to drive it in the last 45 seconds, on the road in Tuscaloosa to go kick a field goal and win it. I think if Texas wins, they win by more than a score. I think they win going away.
I hear you. Vandy at Wake Forest is an intriguing game just because Vandy's got a little bit of momentum, and Wake Forest isn't what they were the last couple of years with a different quarterback.
Vandy, that big opening season win over Hawaii got them that momentum, Hubs. That's what AP's saying.
Well, I mean, I think
2-0, Paul, the only 2-0 team in the league.
I think
it's true. It's true.
I think Wake is interesting without Hartman, without kind of the offense that they've been going. What do they look like? At the end of the day, I think Dave Clawson will scheme them up enough to get some guys open against Vanderbilt's defense, and Wake will pull away. But this is not the Wake we've seen the last.
I agree with that.
And I think A&M just ultimately is too physical for Miami in this game.
All right, let's get to the second page of games just because that's no fun when we're all picking the same. We got to get to next week when we have more conference games. We'll start picking some different things. Eric Gain texted me last week a picture of the stand or the games we picked. He goes, "That's riveting." And I said, "Well, which one?"
Hubbard went Cal over blowout. Justin Wilcox.
Here we go with an upset. We got to make this thing interesting, Paul.
Have you been texting him? I thought about picking Furman over South Carolina. I thought about that.
No, you didn't.
FCS upset.
Hey, George ain't coaching Furman, and he's not coaching Maryville either.
That's exactly right. I took Cal in this game for two reasons. One, Cal put up points against North Texas, which I know it's North Texas, but Cal never scores. So if they've got some kind of offense, there's a pulse. I do think Justin Wilcox remains a really good defensive coordinator. They always kind of stay in games they're not supposed to be in because their defense keeps them in that one. I think it's a rough trip. It's your first road trip, but with a new coaching staff. If you're the Auburn kids, you're going all the way to the West Coast to play. So, I think if there's a chance for an upset this week, I think that's the one that steps out to me. I don't think Arizona can come to Starkville and win. Those other games are payday games. So, look, man, we got to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to go with Justin Wilcox pulling a stunner here. He needs to pull a stunner in Cal if before he starts making those 4,000-mile treks to play in the ACC, if he's still hanging around there. So, give me Cal in an upset, and it would be an upset.
I was close on that one. Auburn's going out on Thursday. I like the extra day out on the West Coast, get acclimated, because it's like a 10 o'clock kickoff. It's a late game.
They'll take a night tour of Alcatraz Friday night.
That's a nice tour.
They get to see all the guys in the trees hanging around the stadium. It'll be fun.
Forgot about those guys.
They'll wonder what they're doing there. Hanging out and
they're watching the game.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a very unique and very bizarre place. That's for sure to watch a football game, and it's the only stadium I ever walked to on game day from the hotel. I walked like 4 blocks and I went to work. That was it. That's how close the hotel was from there.
What's the attendance going to be? 3,000? 4,000?
Yeah, that mean Auburn fans will go out there.
Yeah, I don't know if do Cal fans still show up to football games?
I know they're looking for Marshawn Lynch to drive the golf cart around the field because that's the last time they had a moment. That's the last time they had a moment, Paul.
Oh, that's the greatest video.
I'm not sure Cal recovered from their trip to Knoxville.
No, I don't think they have.
I'm not sure Megan's going to recover from this podcast. All right,
it was your idea.
No, it was Paul's idea. When we see you next week, Hubs will either be tied with Paul at the top, or Paul will have a 1-game lead on me, and I'll have a 1-game lead on Hubs. That's Paul with the Beast podcast. If you want more information on Wyatt Insurance. Oh, I forgot. We got to pick the Tennessee game. I got ahead of ourselves. Tennessee, Austin Peay. Paulie, give us your pick.
Tennessee, easy. Runs away.
How many points do they score? How many points do they score?
63.
63. All right. Well, you'll get our picks, Brent and I's picks, coming up on Friday when the staff picks come out.
And everybody's waiting with
waiting. Who are they going to pick?
I don't know. Jay, Gerald Harrison may have thrown Hub some money to pick the governor.
Just slide him a couple hundos. I like that.
Give my kid some confidence, Hubs.
Put it up. No, it's too soon. I was going to say put it in McDonald's bag. That's too soon, isn't it?
Oh, wow. You had to go there, didn't you?
Paul, you didn't cover the previous coaching staff, Paul. You can't make those jokes.
Yeah, you can't make those jokes.
Right? I read the reports.
Everybody read the reports.
All right, Paul, you need to take your Schmedium and go home.
All right, I'm out.
Information on Wyatt Insurance. You can click the link in the description. You can also give Paul a call. The phone number's in the description as well. That's 865-862-3997. Ask for Paul, and if you sign up today, you'll get some of those Rob Lewis stories that you don't want to miss. Who knows? Maybe he'll tell some Brent Hubbs stories as well, because there are a few of those out there. For Brent Hubbs and Paul Fortenberry, I'm Austin Price for the Ball with the Beast podcast, brought to you by Wyatt Insurance.